specifically, it's not really, we're not having too much of cherry news. In fact, we do not really have that on our table this morning, but notwithstanding, there are happenings within Nigeria and of course outside Nigeria as well, and talking about how we can better manage our affairs. And this morning we'll be looking at the alleged genocide. The U.S. Congress split over Nigeria's CPC designation, that's the country of particular concern designation. We saw what happened in very long hours of debate, yesterday, where people, congressmen, in fact Americans, and of course they allowed, survivors to also of terror attacks, and of course different groups actually came together to talk about the experiences of what it means to have that description of the terrorist attacks, and that is also given the alleged interpretation of genocide in Nigeria. We move very quickly to Kebbi, Niger schools abductions. This particular one is a very sad one because children are involved. Schools are being targeted, and of course we'll be dissecting the different angles to that discussion. Court convicting Nnamdi Kanu for terrorism offenses over how many years now? Close to 10 years that this case has been on. And of course, his group are saying that they are not really going to accept this. Apparently, they are going to appeal this case. We have the PDP crisis as well. In the course of the week, we'll be looking at that. And yes, we'll be looking at Obasanjo Fayose clash again over birthday remarks. Some people said, as Yoruba people, we are people with values, and these values should and must be respected by all Nigerians, all people of Yoruba extraction, wherever they are. Respect to the elders. And while some differ about this interpretation, we would get to know what my guest in the studio has to say about that. Dara Adebimpe is my partner this morning on the program, and we will be lounging together on OGTV. Thank you so much for joining this morning.
Good morning. It's nice to be here, and I hope I will be a very good partner indeed.
Exactly. This, of course, will be starting with the alleged genocide case. We have the U.S. Congress, talking about debating Nigeria. It was interesting to watch that people come up with different narratives as to their understanding of the issues we're going through in the country. And I was happy that the different opinions, the different positions, submitted yesterday, gave a clue as to why it is important for us to look deeper and go beyond Christian genocide, and the complexity. The descriptions came in different dimensions. They talk about what is currently happening in parts of the Middle Belt precisely, and how the Pope also came up with his own position that it's really not, Christian genocide. It's largely about terrorism, and of course, you have land dispute. These positions were also harmonized, and of course, some of the congressmen and women were actually, blasting the U.S. president for actually trying to come into Nigeria gun a-blazing now, saying that they are going to compound the problem that Nigeria has. I don't know how you saw that Congress yesterday. The hours it took for them to come up with different opinions, and of course the facts of the matters.
It's something that one will say that expecting everybody to go the same way will be a difficult task. There will be divergent views. Except you are a Nigerian, or you stay in Nigeria, or you are resident in Nigeria, you never can say too well of what is going on in this nation. Because Nigeria is a nation of diversity. It's a nation within nations. And because of these diversities, a lot of things happen that people, when they want to act on it or do something about it, they take it from the narrative of what actually they have been exposed to, or they expect the thing to be. So, for instance, when you talk of the Pope speaking, yes, the man has, people have forgotten that the Pope had been in Abuja for a while, before he went to before he was before he became Pope. He had worked in Nigeria, in Abuja, you know, maybe as a Pope, as a pontiff representative, so to say. But however, the fact that they have given room to have an open session to discuss on the matter, not minding the manner with which Trump had taken it, you know. You see, whether Trump has spoken, whether people have spoken in favor of the Nigerian government or in the Nigerian people, the fact still remains that we need to buckle up, that we need to address the issue of insecurity in this country. You know, when you look at some of the presenters in the course of the Congress, you will notice that there is a particular lady, a black American, so to say, Onubugu, or what's her name?
Yeah.
You know, she gave something that is near the narrative that you can think of, that this person is actually a little bit familiar with what is going on in the country.
With the reality of Nigeria.
You know, the same thing with the Pope. You know, because although the issue had festered for so long, because we have failed to name and shame, we have failed to do the right thing at the right time, we have failed to nip the issue in the bud when it started. We were operating at the level of kid gloving, let me put it that way. You know, when issue like that crept up in this country, people were just looking at it, and some people were covering up, so to say. But now it looks as if it has gained international concern. Even though Nigeria is a sovereign state, but there are some people, because of the nature or the gift or the position they occupy, they want to exert their authority to say, we are concerned about this issue. But that is not to say, initially, people were looking at the issue of ethnic cleansing. You know, it generated to the issue of Christian cleansing. But when you look at majority of these things where they are happening in recent time, you understand the fact that these are Christian-dominated areas. Look at when it was happening in Kaduna South.
Yeah.
You know, Christians were majority of the people dominating that place. Now Plateau, particularly Jos, Bokos, when you look at that area, Benue, the middle belt, you know. But the issue of insecurity now, terrorism now, has got no boundary. You know, I was taken aback when this morning I heard again that another school had been attacked by terrorists in Niger State. St. Mary's Catholic school. You know, another set of students, girls, were again taken.
So looking at the dimension with which the Congress actually handled the issue of Christian genocide, that's the alleged Christian genocide in Nigeria, and of course, like you rightly said, there was a particular submission that captured almost everything needed, which of course stated particularly that the U.S. should collaborate with the Nigerian government, and not just in terms of aids, in terms of this and that, but in terms of intelligence sharing. So if the U.S. president, or for instance, U.S. government is aware of the terrorists and of course their sponsors, for instance, if that is shared with the Nigerian government, is that not going to actually aid the fight against this? Or when you also look at a reality, you know, I think the Saudi Arabia government actually shared some names. They posted some names at some point saying that they are actually sponsors of terrorism in Nigeria, and Boko Haram to be precise. And of course, we're expecting that the government will do something about it, maybe who are these people and the likes, but of course we didn't get to hear a lot you know, in that region. So what does it mean for the U.S. government to share intelligence with Nigeria? Do you see that Nigerian government is actually ready to combat the issue of insecurity in Nigeria as we stand?
Exactly, that's the area I want to focus, or my mind is trailing on. well, you know, before anybody can help you, as it often said, they said, it's as an adage that says, everyone helps those who help themselves. We must be seen to be ready to help ourselves. We must, first of all, we must make our institutions to work. Once our institutions work, once there is no cover-up, you see the issue of farmer herders when it started, how some people, they will get arrested, before you know it, they will have been, you know, allegedly set free by the security or by the police before they get there. But the issue now is, let Nigeria make its institution to work. Once we get people arrested on this matter, for goodness sake, put them on trial, prosecute them immediately, name and shame them, let them be named. Even those who are sponsored, don't spare them. But because we are not ready to do the needful, those who want to help us.
Well, what do you think are, you know, possible reasons why Nigeria should not be willing to, you know, name and shame and, of course, deal with this issue of terrorism? Why do you think? What are you thinking?
I might not be able to tell you that because I'm not in the position of those who are in authority.
Okay.
One of those things, because they have intel that we are not exposed to. You know, but there are certain things that they must always remember. What you don't tell people now, people will get to know. And by the time they know, it could be dangerous for government. And that's why they must be upright in what they are doing. Okay. And even when you are looking, as a sovereign state, when you are looking outside for help, you must be mindful of the kind of help that you want to get. Because let me tell you, there is no help that is free from these people. It's always attached. And that's why we must be careful. Yes, I don't mind exchanging ideas on technology, because the issue now is what is the number of the Nigerian security that we are talking of? Put the police and the army together. The total number is not up to 600,000. And we are talking of crimes here and there with the Nigerian military almost overstretched in every geopolitical zone.
Okay, let's move very quickly to the next, which is an unfortunate situation. We're just talking about the Kebbi school abduction, when this morning, about around 4 a.m., we got to hear about another one happening in Niger State. And of course, this borders on a lot of reasons. And of course, people are saying that when politics is around the corner, election is around the corner, you hear all kinds of things. It was used, you know, before the 2015 election, and of course, the Chibok girls, you know, more like targeting soft target. And of course, at the end of the day, they threw the entire world into confusion. And of course, I just begin to look at the psychology and of course the mental state of the parents of those children, and even the children themselves being abducted with teachers, you know. Of course, we're saying education is important, but how much of this importance, how much of safety are we putting into our schools to ensure that we have better management of different spaces within Nigeria?
This development has not spoken too well about how intelligence are gathered. Because come to think of it, our intelligence gathering in terms of security has to be beefed up. Because there is no way that all these things will go on without somebody informing somebody.
But then, do you also get to hear that there was a report from DSS, for instance, you know, for this particular school, the Niger State, they said there was a report to that effect that, you know, the attacks are going to come, and of course they should actually, and that was why the Nigeria, okay, I think I was reading a particular one that talked about how that school went ahead. That's the boarding school now. That's talking to reopen the school without the knowledge of the government. And of course, it was more like the same script in 2014 that the Chibok girls were kidnapped. The same script of, okay, intelligence came, and of course they didn't do anything about it. So what exactly are we talking when we say intelligence?
Okay, the dig has been done. Let's not blindfold ourselves with the fact that it is an embarrassment when you consider the first issue we discussed to the Nigerian state. However, there is nothing stopping the government while seeking to reclaim these children wherever they are taken wherever they are taken to investigate what happened. You never can say there could have been a connivance along the line if intel has been given. It looks much like a sabotage, and you never can say who did what. So that must be investigated. And of course, I want to say again, when you look at all this pocket of abductions, for quite some time, I've never had it happen in Kano. Kano, as big as Kano is. And you know why? The then governor, Ganduje, I recall the kind of security gadget that was said that he has put in place so that he could monitor any area. I think this kind of idea or technology should be imbibed by our state governors, because that is part of their role as chief security of the state, not minding the fact that they don't have control over the police, over the military. But there are certain things they can do to complement the efforts of the military or the police, knowing the fact that the shortcomings of the military and the police security that we have, those things should be put in place. We must be seen to be, not just sharing intelligence with within a given agency. Intelligence must be shared across board. And then necessary monitoring or surveillance should be done.
Before now, there's always been the stories of, ungovernable spaces, and we saw what happened during the weekend as well with the ISWAP also, doing what they were doing, and of course, our soldiers being killed, and which of course was an unfortunate situation. We've seen how, this, terrorism has been weaponized. You see the kind of sophisticated equipment that they carry about. And you look at, like you said, the military, the police, you're talking about, not up to 600,000, troops, in total. So, and of course, you're looking at how that, fighting, how difficult it is for them to fight this kind of thing. So the political leaders, they have often said that when leaders, contest during elections, and of course the people give them the mandate, it's also reasonable for them to deliver the dividends of democracy to the people, such that we would have very minimal need to have security agencies on the road all the time. You look at places they call ungovernable spaces. You have people, you have local government, getting allocation every month, and of course you're wondering what they're actually doing, what their priority would be, when it comes to allowing things like this to happen, and of course criminals hiding in different forests and the likes. I don't know what you can say about that.
Unfortunately, Nigeria happens to be the state in Nigeria with the largest land mass. It's so unfortunate, the way it was designed, or the way they are now facing the advantage of having land mass. Most of these things were done because of federal allocation, population, land mass, and it's now getting to become an undoing for them. But be that as it may, you see, we should begin to work towards looking at the economy of gun running now. The National Security Advisor, his office, should begin to examine the economy behind gun running. Why have these people have the advantage of access to what you call sophisticated weapons? Where do they get all these things? The root. And that's why they are holding on to the Chad Basin area. I mean, all this ISWAP, Boko Haram, they are holding on to it up to now. But somebody has suggested the need to do this attack holistically. That is, let's attack these people frontally. Let it not be a reactive attack in such a way that when you are attacking them from the northwest, you take them to northeast. Holistically, don't say, okay, we are going to northwest today. You jump there. Before you know it, they know their route. They will move to another place before you get there. You know, there must be a collaborative effort to frontally face all these activities. These are people who are not a number to us. Yes.
So when you say this, and of course you also get to read reports of local governments, signing the government or the governor, for instance, in Katsina State, 20 local governments. Yes, that's 20 local governments have signed truce with bandits amid renewed attacks. It baffles, people, in, thinking logically now that how do you expect, to win a war when you are actually, you were talking about arms, how do they get sophisticated weapons? So if you're signing truce with them, if you're negotiating with them, you're automatically empowering them. Because at the end of the day, you're not negotiating, you're on a weak side. So they are more like looking at it that they have captured you, and of course they had to feel the heat before they can start begging and say, we don't want to fight again, we have to. So what can you say about enabling that? I also just oppose that with what the former Kaduna State Governor, Nasir El-Rufai, his position has always been that he doesn't negotiate with terrorists or with bandits, whatever name you want to put them. And I listened to a military officer that was talking about him being I think the GOC in Kaduna, or maybe the commander of a particular group then. And of course he said that actually helped his men to actually fight and win the battle against the terrorists in Kaduna State during a fight, despite the fact that because they weren't paying ransom, they weren't negotiating with them, they were just bombarding them, and eventually they had to leave or something. So what do you say about that? You talked about government also having responsibilities, and of course they have their own as the chief security officer. Should they be negotiating, or should they just be addressing the issues from the grassroots as, of course, providing the basics for the people?
It's a difficult issue to comment on, because like I always mention, with that Bob Marley song, who knows it, who feels it, knows it. When you have somebody under the capture of this so-called nuisance, you'll be looking at a way to help that person. It is human.
Traumatic experience to have.
I pray we never go through it. It's not a good experience for anybody. Even anybody that calls himself my enemy, I don't wish such.
For one's enemy.
For one's enemy. It's very, very traumatic. You never can get out of it for so long. You can see even people can psychologically be derailed. And that's why the issue of negotiation, when you talk about it, it's neither here nor there. But the only thing we have to do, which I want to appeal to government and the people and Nigerian society at large, there is no way non-stakeholders should be more strengthened or powerful than state actors. We have the military, we have the Navy, we have the Air Force. All of them should work together. DSS, we need to address this issue frontally. Since 2009, this thing has continued to fester. More than 16 years now, if I'm right. And we are still trending. And everybody knows that it is always when the year is coming to an end that this kind of abductions normally take place. Because the Chibok girls were also abducted even very near the Christmas period. And since then, it was just a piecemeal release. Yes, elections are coming, but then the politicians should begin to ask themselves, the people you want to govern, do you want to govern in peace, or you want to govern under crisis? Which one will be better? What is the essence of your governing when you get there without any I mean, in a manner that is that is subjected to what people will say is not, is fraught with what you can call something that is not clean.
Okay, talking about the issue of security and insecurity, of course, moving to another topic, and this has to do with court convicting Nnamdi Kanu for terrorism offenses. And of course, the Federal High Court in Abuja has convicted the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, on 3 of the 7 terrorism charges filed against him by the federal government. Delivering judgment on Thursday, the presiding judge, James Omotosho, cited prosecution evidence, including video interviews in which Kanu made violent threats against Nigeria and its citizens as the basis for the conviction. Life imprisonment is what we have. And yes, you have people applauding the judge, saying that this is long overdue. They've kept him there for too long. 4 years after I was being, captured in Kenya, as we were told. And of course, you have it going on and on, and of course the case has lasted close to 10 years now. And you wonder, we are talking about terrorism. They say leadership decapitation, taking them to court and do all this is also one of the things to solve the problem. Do you see, some have also called for the use of political solution that convicting him might not really solve the problem they have in the South. I don't know where you are in this particular case, but of course we know that we groom the monsters that we see on the street every day. So what exactly are your thoughts on this?
For a little bit of time yesterday, I followed the proceedings of the court. Incidentally, I used to hear that the presiding judge happens to be one of those very diligent, even in court dispensation of justice. He tolerates and allows things to be as they are. You see, when I watched the proceeding at the beginning, by the time the man wants to preside, give his judgment, it looks as if, why are we here? What is all this? The court, the case has festered since 2015. But people will be blaming the judiciary. But they usually forget some of the antics that were done. If not for this judge, the case would probably have not ended yesterday. He was the one who says, because he wanted to go overseas for medical checks. The man said, okay, whatever medical checks you want to go, do it in Nigeria. And his people are saying, no, they don't have facilities. What he wants to, the man said, okay, go and collect a team of Nigerian doctors, NME rather. They tested, they said, whatever he wanted to go for, it's possible to have it done in Nigeria. And that settles the matter. Of course, he jumped bail once, so that might just be another reason. People have forgotten it's not the judiciary that actually delayed this case. And see the way he wanted to do it, even towards the end, when he decided to abdicate all his counsels, saying that no, he would go it alone. And the judge was even warning of the implication. And that's the area where he shot himself. And at the tail end, when they wanted to deliver judgment, that was when you said you wanted to defend yourself. The conduct, the courage at that within the court proceedings yesterday was not what I expected from him. So because he was so violent. But be that as it may, at least we have an end to that case. He still has an opportunity of proceeding to the Superior Court to appeal the case, which is Court of Appeal. If they are not still pleased, it's cancelled. Thank God one of them has said in one of the programs I listened to this morning that they will be filing appeal between now and Tuesday. Let them go to the. So let's look at why we actually got to this place. Some are of the opinion that he was agitating, and of course
While some said, if you want to agitate for a cause, you should do it legally, not violently. Because I remember vividly what was happening. You know, was it, that's the second coming of, before the 2020, when 2020 happened in Lagos, that's the NSAS, and the kind of broadcast that followed, you know, immediately after the crisis, and you believe, you just look at yourself that, is it really about the NSAS or something else? So you saw the killings taking place in the southeast, and of course the people are not allowed to go to their veil because of the fear, the sit-at-home order as well. And some said it is just because there is a belief that if you go about your agitation for a Biafra state, for instance, you wouldn't get it if you're not violent. That's the belief of the people pushing the narrative, or who are largely following him and believing that that cause would actually help them to get a Biafra. But then some said, oh, you can actually argue your point. You know, you can make a case for yourself to say that you want to leave Nigeria. You have to do it within the confines of the law, and which of course it's looking like people are not conversant with that reality, believing that it is only through violence. So what do you say to those people?
Yes, everybody is entitled to agitate for certain things within the freedom that the Constitution has given you. Because you might have freedom, but your freedom has limitation. Where your freedom infringes on other people's freedom, you'll be, the law will have to take its course. You know, part of what those things that indicted him was the broadcast he made when they were doing NSAS too, which the prosecutor, you know, presented as part of those things that were put against him. You see, it's so unfortunate. You see, the issue of Biafra in this, I'm sorry, I'm just making an appeal. He could call for another state of his own. The man who really gave back to Biafra before his dying days, he has forgotten about Biafra. That was the late Odumegwu Ojukwu. He came back to Nigeria after the Civil War, contested the election in 1983, and became a senator. What does that say? That I have accepted the Nigerian situation.
Yes, that's for the...
But he is entitled to fight his cause in another form. What I'm saying is, yes, he's agitating. Your agitation must not be violence.
So violent agitation is not supposed to be encouraged.
It's not supported by the law.
Course,
it must not infringe on the rights of other people.
But of
Take, for instance, there are so many Igbo people who on Mondays, they open their, what do you call it?
But we could see that some of them seem to be happy about it, sort of. You know, you look at it and say they are fighting the cause.
They have in fact moved away from their area. Most of them are now in the southwest. You know, a situation where business could not thrive. In fact, they are appealing to people from southwest now. So how to come to Onitsha again now?
Some people said political solution can actually put an end to this, and of course it was the reason some were protesting that he should be released. What's the implication of releasing? Some said, oh, for instance, Peter Obi recently said, what has he done? You know, sort of, he was more like, what has he done? That if he actually became president, he would give him a pardon or something. So you look at how they have encouraged bad behavior to the point that became so huge. And when you look at this disposition at the court, you see that this actually could be another danger in the waiting if actually allowed to stay within the people. I don't know what you are thinking with respect to security everywhere.
Let me not preempt whatever. We have not seen the end of the case. You see, that was why the other time he said he was sacking all his counsel. I know it was a circus show. It was dramatizing. You know, as we are going, thank God.
Some said he is actually frustrated because.
Thank God the judge was even merciful unto him. The prosecutor was asking for a death penalty, which is supposed to be the punishment for the offense for which he was charged. But he said he was showing mercy. because the Bible says, show mercy upon who show mercy. That was his basis, and that he turned it to life imprisonment. He has given him a leeway of enjoying any political follow-up that the issue might generate. Because let's not deceive ourselves. By the time they get to appeal, they are not going to open any can of worms again. They are not going to open any case. It's the proceeding from the Federal High Court that will go to the Federal Court of Appeal, and that's why I believe he has shot himself in the leg with the way he had allowed the case to be handled towards the tail end, by not allowing his counsel to stand in the dock to defend him. If it were in the case of alternative dispute resolution, it is understandable, because no judge will represent you. But they have not gotten to that. Maybe at the end of the day, that is what will happen. But as it were, violence is not something that we should tolerate within our
space. I remember vividly when Sunday Igboho came up with the issue of Yoruba
That
Nation.
was why he was caught in the...
because I know that the only picture that I was getting, it was the period where you were getting to hear about unknown gunmen killing in the southeast, killing people, innocent people, for crying out loud, especially when you say the sit-at-home order, people that do not obey it. And I remember vividly the picture that was just flashing, through my head when Sunday Igboho started. I said, this is another horrific. This is going to be something that would, the victims of this crisis, the effect of whatever it is that he was pushing at the time would still be the common people that wants to have one or two things to eat, and of course they would one day start to say there is a sit at home too, more like a script, using the template of the Nnamdi Kanu. That was what Sunday Igboho wanted to use, and I was happy the way critical stakeholders, the religious leaders, the top political office holders within the Southwest region came out to actually discourage such within this. And that, they say, that is why we are different. That's why the Southwest is actually different from other sections. When you see your child behaving in a way that could lead to destruction, the calling to order is more like the reasonable thing to do. But when you allow it, at some point you get consumed in the fight. I hope, and I don't know what you have to say to, because at this point, the appeal is still going to come, but of course, we are not even expecting them to take it like it's just something that is easy, because these people believe in that cause. And of course, because they believe in it, maybe channeling their effort to a better way of getting what they want would actually help them, in the end.
You see, I remember during the during the era of June 12th annulment, when MK Abiola was not alive. I remember what Abiola said, apart from the issue of everybody signing off to endorse the late General Sani Abacha as their presidential candidate. The man said Yorubas will not fight anybody, will not engage in violence, and they will still get what they wanted. You see, a country like Nigeria, it is quite difficult for you to use whatever means in terms of violence to get what you want. You need diplomatic means. You need a softer ground to exchange ideas with people, to take you along. And that's why people don't understand the kind of politics.
And you also have the global stage to push your campaign.
Exactly.
Because at the end of the day, you cannot, you cannot agree, you cannot say you want to leave a country alone, and of course you want to leave, and some people will say you are not going to go. So why are they saying we would not be able to go. So if one has followed the stipulated procedure, which is the constitutional provision for that, maybe that would have helped.
Exactly.
I hope that we don't continue to increase the security challenges in the country because of this
but I just want to add,
issues.
the Kanu case has ended, stage 1 has ended, other stages are still coming up.
Yeah.
All other people involved in violence or in terrorism, it is a charge on the present government to begin to see how they want to address this issue holistically. Because without it, the economic war they are fighting will not get to anywhere. Because the money we are spending on insecurity today.
That's really my point. When I look at what we spend on education, and of course they argue largely that, oh, education is expensive, and of course you say the budget, and I ask, compared to what? It's expensive compared to what? Look at the kiosks. Do you get? So you now look at what we could have done, making more investment in our people if we live in peace, and of course talking about living in peace, we should also do better as government at all levels to engage the people.
Yes.
We cannot even leave anything to chances, because the fear in the atmosphere is bigger than whatever investment we are planning or we are saying we are building.
Even the investors we are looking, those in authorities are traveling here and there to attract. You can't get them under the atmosphere of insecurity.
Honestly, so I think we just need to do better as a people, and of course our priorities should be better. We should prioritize what is urgent for us. That is the only way we can get out of this current situation. We move very quickly to the PDP convention in Ibadan, and yes, you have counter reactions from the conclusion of that election, and of course that's a convention. You have the critical stakeholders, the likes of Wike being suspended, and of course you have the Wike faction also coming out to suspend the Seyi Makindis of this world, and of course the drama continues in the opposition. Opposition are also expected to be put the ruling party on their toes at this stage, and you see this confusion everywhere, and you're wondering, when are we exactly going to get out of all of this?
I remember in those days of in the twilight of Gowon regime, when he chose not to honor the revert to civilian regime in 1976, and there are a lot of challenges facing his cabinet members. Taka was on the bridge of being investigated as a minister. I think he was a minister of communications then, Taka. I mean, he was the commissioner for communications then. Why there is a human rights activist or crusader within the state where Taka came from, called Dabo. People use that slang. When you say, if you Taka me, I will Dabo you.
Okay.
So now the same situation scenario seems to be playing concerning PDP. Those who had their next election in Ibadan, they decided to suspend or evict some people from the party. And those who believe they are the Abuja people,
authentic,
they decided to do and address a number of
but the PDP secretariat is under lock and key. So exactly.
One thing that I'm not too happy about, there are two things. Number one, the issue or the drama that took place, was it on Monday or Tuesday? Tuesday. At the PDP secretariat, Wada Plaza.
Yeah,
people call it the Wahala in Wada Plaza. You see, that thing is embarrassing to the nation, and it was avoidable. I want to blame the police for it, because it was avoidable. They will have had intel. They will have known that both sides, there will be a collision course, whether you like it or not. And it was avoidable by at that spot. They will have, even in the Sunday twilight of the dawn of Monday morning, they should have sealed the office.
The complex.
So don't allow anybody.
Either of them
so
would
they
not
will
have access.
They will have gone to wherever they want to exercise their meetings, either on the Wike side or on the Turaki side. But the issue again that I didn't like was when the faction of Makinde was the chairman that was elected was saying, was calling on Trump to come and intervene concerning Nigeria.
You didn't know what happened immediately. Trump posted on his truth media that he was actually coming to intervene in Nigeria's security because they were killing. People started saying all sorts of. Some said, okay, Trump, the housing, the rent in Ibadan, that he should also come and intervene. So you see how we trivialize most of this intervention.
They are taking it too far, and it's embarrassing. A sovereign state calling on another sovereign state to come and deal with your internal affairs.
But of course,
all these people alive when the Wild West was burning. If they knew what happened in the 60s, after in the era of 64, 65, leading to 66, before the military, by the time the military intervened in the morning of January 15, 1966, if they knew what transpired, they would never have made such a call, and they would never have behaved the way they are behaving.
But of course, some would say that you should also look critically at the reasons all this are happening. 2027 is around the corner, and of course, the gladiators in PDP, we have the Wicked side and of course the Makinde side. They are also very, powerful people in Nigeria, PDP for instance, and yes, the ESCO is going to be a contentious, thing. Who is going to constitute the state, the national ESCO? Who is going to be in charge of the delegates? Yes. And of course, that of course is the reason all this is really happening. And you cannot leave that to chances. And that's why, those criticizing the FCT minister's camp now are also saying that, okay, why can't he just go to his APC? Because we've seen him work with the APC government. And yes, he has also come out to say that I actually consulted my people before taking that appointment from Mr. President. And we talk about representation. He is bringing people from different political parties. APGA is also in his government. PDP members are here. And of course, you see some people with Labour Party orientation. They also form people in his cabinet. And some are saying that this is what the beauty of democracy is about. And we must continue to strengthen democracy. And yes, some are also saying that one-party state is what Nigeria is moving towards. So where do we really draw the line to ensure that we have better democracy?
Politicians are broad-minded. Until our politicians know what they want, until they see being in public office as a service to the people, this is the kind of shenanigans that we'll be seeing. Wike will not be the first minister to be appointed from opposing party in Nigeria. I remember in the era of Shehu Shagari, he appointed late Paul Inungo. He's from Benue State as a minister. He's from NPP, the party owned by the late Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe. Nobody can say what he has done will be the first time. In Obasanjo era, Obasanjo appointed late Chibola Ige as a minister. He is from AD. The same thing, he appointed the grandson of the late sage who has just passed on, Awolowo, as a special assistant for tradition. They are not from the same political philosophy.
Okay.
But what I'm trying to say is that we are not broad-minded when we think. Yes, Wike might have his own excesses, but appointing him by a supposed federal government goes beyond the issue of party lines. Once a president has been appointed, once election has been won, We should
over everybody.
we should learn the fact that yes, another election is another 4 years.
Okay,
forget about campaigning, but they don't forget. Nigerian politicians are bad losers, and that's what we are facing.
Yeah, they also say it's because of the winner takes all mentality that we actually have as well. That's why they don't really forget, because when you are not at the table at all for 4 years, it means that a lot of things will happen.
Needful to get there. This man they are running after. How many years has it taken to even occupy the post?
Okay, I'm glad you mentioned the former president, Olusegun Obasanjo, and of course in the course of the week we also had the course to have the exchange of letters, and of course we thought his fight with your Fayose as former Ekiti State Governor was over when the letter was sent, with respect to, I think he came to Abeokuta physically to invite Baba to his birthday, and of course we saw what happened at the birthday, and some said Baba would be vindictive, Baba would never forget some things, and of course Baba was checking the list, and of course he was addressing the things he needed to address, and while the former Ekiti State Governor was standing with his wife on his 65th birthday, and it shocked, we didn't know that Fayose would react, but of course some have condemned, his reaction, calling Baba all sort of names, but of course, I don't know, you are familiar with the two of them. I see them as father and son, and of course more like Fayose learning, he's his political son sort of, and he's looking like they're still in the political scene where they're acting the different drama. That was how I saw it. I was like, okay, what is this again? In a lot of things that we're talking about. So what exactly are we going to see today? But some condemn this and say that as a Yoruba people, we are a people of value, and of course the Omoluabi ethos would never allow you to talk like that to an elderly person of that age and status in the world. So what do you say to that?
What I just want to say, I can always mention, the more you look,
the less you
see. And of course, the issue of Omoluabi, which is the value of Yoruba, should have come to play in this matter. But I don't know what has given
from both sides, right?
Yes, on both sides.
On both sides.
I don't know what has gone wrong beyond what we see that Baba read on that day. However, I should have, for me, Fayose should have allowed the sleeping dog to lie. And thank God he is preaching the fact that when I die, he's just 65, he will not die now. But I just want to pray that all of them, they will live long. But the issue of cat and mouse that they are playing is all politics.
Is all politics? Okay, I want to agree with you, because I know, I was saying it somewhere, that it is only politics that come in the way of a father and a son, and that makes them, exchange such, messages. And of course, politics could be used for positive things as well. Maybe we try to use the positivity of politics or politicking now to spread the message of Omoluabi more, rather than just delving in the negatives, which of course would have no value at the end of the day. Thank you so much, Dara Adebimpe, for being our guest on Reporters Lounge today. Thanks for sharing your insights, and of course we hope that next week we'll be here together to dissect the different issues in the dailies at the time.
It's my pleasure to be here, and we thank our viewers for tuning on to watch us. Till next week when we meet again, I say God bless.
All right, bye, and keep watching the People's Telly.